Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premium media podcast. Every week we get together, talk about movies, TV, and online content, and help you answer the question, is this December going to be the most toxic month of the year? Possibly. I'm your host, Ash Shelby. Join me today, Dylan Blight.
Why? Is it because we're going to have like the Dune bros versus the Marvel bros?
I mean, that I was more referring to the Harry Potter series coming out after the teaser this week.
Sorry.
December.
I'm so disconnected. Like, I knew that dropped, but my brain just so disconnected from it to the point that that's not even what I went straight to Dune and Avengers. Yeah, I'm sort of glad you didn't put that. I was like, oh, this motherfucker's going to put it in the trailers.
I think we've established we don't really want to give that much more oxygen than it's already got.
No, I was like, if you put it in the trailers, I'm just going to spend the whole time ranting again. So.
No, that's why I asked the question at the top so you can rant here.
Also, shout out, I posted on my Instagram story. You should follow me on Instagram, everyone. That's now the platform I use the most in the last 12 months because Twitter went to shit, obviously. I never used to use Instagram, side note. I know if this is I never used Instagram, really. Now it's the thing I use the most. I did post my story. The Verge did a very good story. I suggest everyone check it out. It was titled something like
There's no ethical way to consume.
There's no ethical way to consume the HBO Harry Potter series. Very good. Shout outs to The Verge.
Yep. And yeah, I just feel like obviously there's all the issues with J.K. Rowling for a start, but then they were already up in arms about all of the casting news and that kind of stuff and how it's going to read and that kind of stuff in the show. I feel like it's not going to be a fun time. and just those kids being put in that situation, I don't think it's great.
Leave it alone, Just
you read the books, you can remember them fondly. You can remember the movies, you can remember them fondly. Yeah,
that's what I don't get. We've opened the can of worms now, so I'm not stopping.
Yeah,
because every time, and I've heard it from people younger than me, the same age as me, and everything. This whole bit, like, it's such a big part of my life, and I just shut. I've had this conversation multiple times with so many different people over my life. And obviously sometimes when I've had it with people I used to work with, I try to be a little bit nicer about it because, but the moral I'm trying to say for most of the time is that I go, hey, I say some version of this every single time, which is, hey, I was the biggest Harry Potter fan that I knew. Full stop. I was the guy. I have school photos of me in grade 3, 4 in class with a Harry Potter scar on my head. I have me wearing Harry Potter, like Gryffindor scarves to school. I went to the last 3, 4 books, however many it was. I went to all the like midnight releases. I was literally the exact same age as Harry. Every time a new book came out, I was aging in line with Harry. So I was growing in literally in the same age as he was. I could not have related more to that character and that world and everything growing up. And I was obsessed. It was my number one favorite thing. I understand it's obviously worldwide. It was a lot of people's favorite things. But as far as my friend group, family group, everyone, it was like Dylan is obsessed, loves Harry Potter. And even my mum and even the other day, my mum and dad asked me about it because like, you used to love Harry Potter. And I had to go through it again with them. I'm like, yep, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, at the end of the day, here's the thing. I loved all the books. I have very fond memories of the books. Huge part of my childhood. Watching all the movies, huge part of my teenage years through to young adult years. End of the day, very fond memories. Had a great time with it. There's plenty of other great books and movies out there.
There is so much stuff out there.
There's so much shit out there that you consume more ethically. And at the end of the day, trans lives are more important than holding on to one pop culture thing.
It's going to tell the story almost the exact same way that the movies did.
Yep. So who cares? Let's move the fuck on.
Yeah.
Move on from Harry Potter. I'm saying now, move the fuck on. I'm not saying Harry Potter's shit. Just let's all collectively, I think we all just need to agree to move the fuck on. This week on What Do You Want to Watch, we're going to...
Beat me to it. This week on What Do You Watch, we'll be talking about what's at Watch History, going over some film news, giving you thumbs to trailers, giving you this week's top 3. I kick things off over on our Marvel podcast, or Marvelcast. We talked about the debut episode of Daredevil, Born Again, Season 2. But if you didn't listen, Dylan, what are your initial thoughts of this season of Daredevil, Born Again?
I feel like the episode came out 2 weeks ago, but yeah, no, enjoyed it. It's a good premiere episode, just setting up a lot of things, obviously continuing off from the cliffhanger-ish time that we had from the last season. Fisk is, being a little bit more brazen with decisions he's making in his position of power now. Daredevil's actually being Daredevil, so for everyone that complained last season about him not wanting to put on a costume and just be Matt Murdock and hiding, this season is going to give you more of what you want because he's got a cool costume. He's got the overlapping D's on it, like from the comic book. It's very cool, like costume. We've got Karen back, which I very much enjoy. Yep, I'm keen to keep watching.
Yeah, it's been it was a fun opening episode. Like, obviously, lots of interesting ideas, and like the world has jumped forward a bit, and like there's a bit of like you have to pay attention to fill in the blanks quickly, like put all the puzzle pieces together and that kind of thing. But yeah, I think it's really good. I think it's for something that was probably shot close to 12 months ago, incredibly relevant, just because of what is this story, it being about a anti-vigilante task force that reads incredibly one-to-one to us. It is, some of the scenes are like harder to watch now than they probably would have been 12 months ago, because it is so like stuff we see in the news every week. But yeah, I think really fantastic on the board. It's really great to have Karen like front and center after like kind of being a tiny piece of the first season, which is probably a product of having to rewrite that season and all that kind of stuff. This second season is what the creators wanted to do with the rest of the season. They didn't have to kind of rework the original plan for season 1. So yeah, really fantastic. Excited to talk about it every week over on All New Marvelcast. All right, Dylan, you've got a couple of reviews up on the website. Talk to me about this movie, Dragn.
Dragn. Yeah, I believe it's just Dragn. So this is I just called it a Killbox movie in my review. It's a perfectly okay Killbox movie, and in that I mean it's just the setup that you've seen in many of thriller/horror movies before, where a bunch of characters are sort of dragged into a secluded area, and in this case it's a forest. I mean, if you just think like Predator's sort of the go-to example of the original Predator, obviously go-to example for this. It's like they're all dragged in there, something's hunting them, insert action, and people being killed. That's what happens here. These group, they all work for some tech company, big tech company. A bunch of people from all over the globe, different work for the same company. They're all dragged to this same place. They're sent out to this part of this secluded area of a forest for a quote unquote team building exercise. I have no the writing is a little bit shoddy, which is sort of some of my complaints, because I'm like, at no point did I ever believe that any of these people. I'm like, none of this makes sense. Why are they here for a team build? There's no explanation. Like, oh, it's a team building exercise. Like we're just random ass people just drawn together for no particular reason. And we're also going past a gate with a fence with a skull and bones on it that is obviously saying keep out, but everyone goes. One character's like, oh, translate this, and then another character is like, nah, it's all fine. I'm like, it's a skull across the bones, dude. You don't need to understand what the writing says below it. Obviously, that means it's a keep out sign. Collectively, universal language says it's a keep out sign. Why are we going here? No one ever questions it. Anyway, they all get there. Turns out there's a wild drone in there, for AI drone from the same company. It's gone loose. I don't really know if their whole point is this guy. It's a. Have they been sent in there as fodder? Have they been sent in to magically figure out how to stop it? Don't know. Watch the movie to find out. But yeah, it's enjoyable at times when the drone's killing people. The characters are all pretty meh. They very quickly at the start of the movie go, we want you to care about the main character, so we're going to open the movie with him playing with his kid, and his wife's here, and then you meet the rest of the characters, and they're all given nothing. And you're like, well, they're all just fodder, and they are. Surprise. But it was okay. What did I give it, a 5? I think.
Yeah, I think so. All right, and then talk to me about the Pout fish.
Pout fish. The Pout fish is an animated film based on a book, or a book series, I believe. It's a series of books, which is a grumpy fish, as per the Pout, which is voiced by Nick Offerman. And he does a very good job at just his voice lends quite well to a curmudgeonly, lonely fish. And what happens is he's sort of getting along with his life. And there's a very good montage at the start of the movie where it's just him going about his day, which is people telling him to smile more consistently when he goes out and does his shopping in this fish world. But he just lives alone, builds himself, trying to get on. And then one day he turns back to his home and finds this little sea dragon, seahorse, whatever there, voiced by Nina Oyama, Australian comedian actress. She was trying to move in there and thought the home was abandoned because she has 1,000 brothers and sisters on the way and is trying to find a home for it. And then they sort of antics ensue and the house like sort of falls off this cliffside. So then there's this like rumor or tale, I guess, of a magical fish you can go find, and then you can do a wish. So they sort of set out on an adventure to find this fish because then they'll be able to wish both for his house back, plus should be able to get a house for her upcoming brothers and sisters and stuff, and everyone will be able to live happily ever after. I really enjoyed that start, and it was giving like a lot of good, like the vibes and everything, and it was, you know, I was like, this is a good time. But as it went along, I just decidedly liked it less and less. And one thing that I really spent probably, I think, the whole big paragraph of my review talking about is just how it's undecidedly just done this weird, we're not going to commit to the Australianism of it, which I found quite odd. Like, it's very obviously set in Australia, ocean. It's got a predominantly Australian cast. It has several Australian mentions and riffs and all this sort of stuff. But then they do that weird thing where they don't want to like fully commit to it because they still want to play to an international audience. And then there's just some jokes where I'm like, you're too afraid to, like, you over-explain that Australian reference because you want to hit international audience. But then I got really annoyed when they did a Mean Girls joke because I'm like, if you're worried about in like American audiences, American kids getting the references if they're too Australian, why the fuck are we doing a stop trying to make fetch joke happen in this movie? Because little kids are not, like, I'm like, that's silly. Anyway.
To the parents.
Yeah, I know, but even then, I'm like, that's such a weird pull. But yeah, animation wise, it was like it's fine. I think it looked good. It didn't look bad, and it wasn't super exciting. But yeah, it really is just that odd movie where at times you're like, oh, it has something, and just fails to ever see through and have that, unfortunately, what we call Disney Pixar magic, I guess, or something. Like, it never gets to fruition. By the time you get to the end of the movie, and you know the Pout fish is having big realizations about, unsurprisingly, you know, maybe it's better to work with people and make friends, and you know, like overcoming all these things. It's just not there. Like, the writing's not there to make the scene work and everything. I will say that I enjoyed it a lot more because of the voice cast, and I feel like if the voice cast wasn't as good, I probably would have found the writing to bring it down a lot further than it did. But you know, thankfully, you know, I'm watching it and being like, oh, that sounds like I was hearing people like, oh, that's Ann Edmonds, and that definitely sounds like Lloyd Langford. Like, a lot of these like popular Australian comedians and stuff, and then credits start rolling. I'm like, oh, that's who that was. That's who that was. And Amy Sedaris is in this for some fucking reason, which is weird. But yeah, I think I got that 5 as well.
All right. So I watched one of the new films released this week, Mike and Nick and Alice, which released on Disney Plus. The first film from Ben David Grabitsky, who I know from, well, he directed the movie Happily with John McHale and Kerry Bish, but he was the person behind the latest, the what's I call it? Yeah, he was the showrunner, or he created Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. So that's where I know him from. But yes, this stars Vince Vaughn as Nick, who is a loan shark who is at the party for a local mob boss, played by Keith David, called Sosa. And his Sosa's son, adopted son, Jimmy Boy, played by Jimmy Torado, has just got released from prison. So they're having a big night for Jimmy Boy, to celebrate his release from prison. But Sosa wants to kill the person who was the rat in his organization and who got Jimmy Boy in prison. So Sosa has learned that Nick's associate, Mike, is the one behind his son going to prison. But Nick has actually come from the future and feels guilty about killing Mike, who's now trying to stop Mike getting killed. That's the basic setup for the film, I guess. Nick is also married to Alice, who is played by Isaac Gonzalez. There is a bunch of like interrelationship things that are happening here that I don't really want to get into, but that's a lot of fun. It's really fun. the movie is really fun when it's setting up the premise and like doing some twists and turns and that kind of stuff. I feel like it definitely runs out of steam a little bit towards the end, although it does have that big emotional manages to capture emotional wallop right at the end. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fun bits. I think Jimmy Torado, is really fun as Jimmy Boy, and he's one of the other, like, there's a crew of different like mob guys that are around, but my favorite of all of them is Arturo Castro, who plays dumbass Tony, who is just a dumbass, and psychs Jimmy Boy out because he says that he was in prison for his penis prime. The prime years of having his penis is now over, so he's not going to be able to use his penis as well anymore. Yeah, enjoyable. I think there's some fun twists and turns, stuff I didn't expect based on what we saw in the trailer and that kind of thing. They don't really dive too deep into like the time travel and like it's not a time travel movie. I think that it's just an element of this mob like film. It's just a fun way to get the two mixed together. Yeah, lots of fun little cameos and bits. Ben Schwartz has a great opening performance that was a highlight for me. So I would recommend checking it out. I think it is pretty solid. It does, one of my major gripes though, it does this thing where for some shots they decide to go in like slow motion for a stylistic choice, I guess. There's no like, not that there is ever really a reason to have slow motion, but like they do slow motion for like 10 seconds or whatever at different points throughout the movie. But it just feels like, to me, I was more concerned that my streaming was buffering, and that's what was causing the issue, than it being a stylistic choice. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it just kind of threw me out the movie like almost every single time. So, yeah, I mean, the cast all has great chemistry and that kind of stuff. So, I had a good time. Check out Mike and Nick and Alice. All right, Dylan, this week you caught up on some of the big releases from the last few weeks. So, talk to me about Project Hail Mary.
Project Hail Mary. Yeah.
Wait, have you read the book or listened to the
audiobook? I didn't finish it. I'm like halfway through it.
Okay.
So I didn't have the ending spoiled for myself.
You had like half of.
Yeah, I had like half. I need. It's that whole interesting thing where scenes like playing out in the early parts. I'm like, oh yeah, this is like they cut this part short or whatever. Yeah, obviously it's very good. That's as you talked about last week. Collectively, everyone seems to agree the same thing, I think. So I don't want to rattle on too much. Ryan Gosling is, this is like sort of perfect casting for him. It's funny because obviously we had the whole like, is The Martian a comedy? This definitely this is more of a comedy. Obviously more actually. You could get away with calling this a comedy. Like I don't think it's not a traditional comedy, but it's definitely very funny. Especially once Rocky gets involved, it becomes quite amusing consistently. But I think the thing I was also so shocked at is just how they managed to make that relationship between him and Rocky work, considering Rocky is such a just abnormally designed alien species.
Alien without a face.
Yeah. It's an alien without a face. And face is what they say.
It does not speak English initially.
Yeah. And if you go to any school for creative arts, they'll tell you that like a face is necessary to
eyes are the window to the soul.
There we go, that sort of thing. So I think the number one compliment I could give the movie is honestly just the fact that they managed to make that relationship between those characters so well done that by the time you get to the end of the movie, like everything that's happening works because of the relationship they managed to build between those two characters, even without Rocky speaking English or having a face. It's just a rock. It's just this Rocky, Yeah, very good, very funny. My only two criticisms, I'd say the ending is paced off. Just seemed to drag a bit. Something it was, I don't know. It also had like the odd double ending thing, which I found quite annoying. And I don't know if it plays out a bit better in the book. Maybe when I finish I can say, but I just found the pacing for that last 15, 20 minutes just not, like I felt like it was dragging a bit. I felt like it was just trying to pull on my emotions a little bit too much in an annoying way. I'm like, I get it. We're getting there. And then the other thing was, and I'm not fully decided on how I feel about this, because I don't know in alternative if I got to see the movie play out differently, if I would like it more or not. But I'm currently undecided if I like the flashback design. I'm on the fence. I don't want to say if I'm committed to saying that I would prefer it to have a traditional structure. I understand that it's built in a he's getting the memories back and remembering them design. However, I was at times, especially as the movie went on, like at the first half of the movie or first quarter, I'll say, it was less of a factor. But I think as the movie went along, I was becoming a little bit more like, oh, I just got pulled out of that scene to go to this flashback, and I don't really care now. I sort of I'm beyond caring, like not caring, but I just sort of found it more annoying in the second half of the movie, I guess. But then I'm not sure, obviously, if the movie would work as well because if they did it structured it differently, because obviously they want you to feel what Ryan Gosling's character's remembering and the emotions at the same time he is. So I get it. That's why I'm saying I'm just on the fence about it. I also felt like Sandra Hüller, very good, although somewhat underutilized would be my thing for her.
I don't know how you could have utilized it more.
Well, no, here's the thing. Like, I'm complaining about the flashback stuff, but also saying that maybe she needed more.
Yeah, so
yeah, I'm sort of that's why I'm fence sitting on this. Is the commitment to how I'm feeling about all this. But yeah, it's very good. Big space adventure. It sort of does play out like Interstellar, but not as it's Interstellar, but not as mindfucky. It's sort of how it plays out. So I can appreciate that. Like it plays it pretty straight for all things considered. Which makes sense given the author. Like obviously Andy Weir has this whole like he tries to base his stuff more on science or figurative science. So I think just yes, there's the setup is the Earth's dying, which is similar to Interstellar. But then once you get the space stuff, and even though there's a space alien involved in it and all these other sort of crazy ideas, I think it just plays it so straight and it never jumps a shark in terms of sci-fi nonsense. Like it makes sense. You're like, well, if this was real, this makes sense.
I really enjoyed it. So
I didn't say I didn't enjoy it, motherfucker.
No. I'm just saying.
Wow.
Because I did go watch it again. Having listened. Why did can't see in 3 dimensions? Like the first time he looks at the screen, it's explained that he's created this device that.
I was gonna say he has like it's like those things you put your. Reminds me of the like the nail things or whatever that when you put your hands in them, like the thing and it makes a shape, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very amusing, like, and then going back and like about to go in the comments to go, you fucked up, and seeing a bunch of people already figured it out. Yeah, that never happens to us, so we're always on to these things, All right, talk to me about Ready or Not. Here I come.
Ready or Not, Here I Come. I was a huge fan of the first movie. I think this one's perfectly fine. It was an enjoyable time. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the first one. It's just the whole, you can't chase what they had with the first one, unfortunately. I think I really enjoyed seeing Samara Weaving and Catherine Newton play off each other, and I nearly feel like the plot of this. I wish the whole entirety of this movie and its story had played out in the first half, and then I got to see what happened to them afterwards in the second half of the movie. Because I was just enjoying those two characters. They go through
all their drama in the first half, and then they get thrown into this.
No. Like just squeeze the events of the movie down to an hour, and then I would have honestly enjoyed half an hour of just non-horror movie, just generally what happens to them afterwards.
Like, yeah, them getting back together, rekindling their relationship, becoming sisters again.
Yeah. Like, it's a weird thing to say about a horror movie, but I was like, I found those two to have really good chemistry, and I enjoyed what they set up between them with the what they go through in the movie, discussing their past traumas and why, and the confusion around different things and all this sort of stuff. I thought it was all generally everything to do with them is very good. The main problem with the movie is just simply it really goes deep in because the thing of the first one, the whole at the end just doing the like spoilers for the first movie at this stage, we're talking about the second one, but by the time you get to the end of the first movie and it's like you see a flash of the devil, it's just like such a like, oh my god, crazy. But then the credits rolling and you don't have to dig deeper into it. The problem when you go to do a sequel to that is now it's like, well, we're opening can of worms, we've now got a whole cult thing, we've got all this. I enjoyed the setup, with David Cronenberg and the introduction to all of the different families and all that sort of stuff. But once the game got going and they were chasing after them, none of it had the same rhythm that the first movie had. I don't think any of the characters, like, I enjoyed Sarah Michelle Gellar, but still, like, I don't feel like anyone had the same. I don't think anyone is as good as, no one in this is as good as anyone in the first film. I think I enjoyed all of the characters and all the ways that all the people she was dealing with in the first movie a lot more. I think the first movie did a lot better job at mixing the comedy with the horror and the scares and the kills and stuff. I just generally think the first movie was a lot better, to be honest. I enjoyed Elijah Wood. He was fun. Lots of good fun. I mean, the movie has its funny moments, like people hiding behind each other when they know someone's about to explode. That joke sort of didn't really get old. But my number one question, though, was, having heard you talk about last week, what is the death that you had never seen before? Because the credits are rolling.
Guy in the washing machine.
Right, okay, the guy in the washing machine.
Yeah, that was unique, I thought.
Yeah. I don't know if I've seen a guy die in a washing machine before. I've seen a guy get melted before, though, so maybe that's why I didn't.
That was pretty close, you know.
Yeah.
It was definitely melty.
But yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's a fun time, but I just don't think it lives up to the first film, unfortunately. But the chemistry between the two girls is fantastic, and it's worth watching it for them.
How did you feel about the ultimate resolution? You're like, okay, at least they've put a bow on this.
Yeah, it's like it's wrapped up now. I mean, more kind of. I mean, the thing is technical. Like, I think it's done with her and those characters. If they wanted to continue the antics of whatever the people, I can't remember what they call them. Anyway, the devil worshippers, technically, because behind the way he talks about it, it's like obviously all these people have made a pact with the devil to get stuff, and they have to like do this whole thing. So even by the time you get to the end of the movie, if they have to refill the recruits, it's like technically Elijah Wood can just go out there and recruit more people.
Yeah,
from it's not over for him. It's fine. Like he has to restart and build up his little collective again. But as far as what's happening for our characters, they should be done.
Well, last thing in what's in our watch history, Dylan, you've started watching season 2 of Ted. How's it living up to the first season?
It's crazy. The first season came out like 10 years ago. I think it was only a couple of years ago, but I'm very much enjoying it. It's been a very good, like, they're half-hour episodes. Putting it on while I'm watching eating my dinner or something. It's sort of been that show for me at the moment. Some highlights so far out of the first few episodes include episode 2 is Ted ends up in a relationship with not older, but just a human woman, and like ends up in this whole affair. And there's a very funny scene that plays out when I'm just going to spoil a joke here, but it's very funny. The husband comes home and like bursts into the bedroom. It's like, where is he? Where's the guy? Because he's like, I see fucking 2 whiskeys and cigarettes downstairs. And then like Ted tries to run away, but he comes back into the room. So then Ted just plays dead, like he's an actual teddy bear, but he's got a strap-on dildo to him. And then the husband's like, what is this sick fucking joke? Is the guy giving this to you? And he like picks up Ted and he's holding him up, and this fucking dick's jumping up. And then Ted's running around the house with this thing still strapped onto him. It's good shit. And then the third episode is also. I mean, they've all been quite enjoyable so far, to be honest. But I mean, then the third episode was another highlight, because that's one where I talked to you about it, I think off air, where I thought it was just a bit with Brennan Lee Mulligan doing a promo thing, but it's an entire fucking episode, and I didn't. So the third episode is literally what's his name? John Bennett. John Bennett. So John, Ted, and then his cousin, I think, is the person that lives with him, I think. Yeah. They all want weed. They're out. So then they're like, oh, there's this older guy who's like 23. So apparently Brennan Lee Mulligan's character is 23, which is hard to buy, but it's like, oh, he goes to our school still. We'll go to him. He sells weed. So they go to his house, and he's playing a D&D game. And then his the people he's playing with all get angry at him because of the campaign and storm out. And they're like, can we buy weed from you? He's like, no, I'm too pissed off that they didn't want to play my campaign. And then they eventually go, well, how about if we play your game that we don't know how to play? And if we beat you in this Dungeons and Dragons game, you have to sell us the weed. And then at the same time, John's parents are reading, especially his mum, who's like, ultra Catholic, conservative sort of thing. It's like reads this story about kids doing drugs and whatever else, and she's like, we've got to get more involved in our children's lives. So then they go downstairs and they ended up playing the D&D game with them. Now she's playing the D&D game with him to be more involved in her child's lives, to stop them from doing drugs. Little do they know, but by helping them play the game, they're actually helping him get drugs, which is a funny little bit. But they do a thing where they like cut between them playing the game in real life, and then they filmed a bunch of scenes where they're like dressed up as their characters in the Dungeons and Dragons universe as well. So Ted's like a fucking bard. His mum, John's mum's a knight somehow, a fighter, all these sorts of things. But I'll tell you what, there's one very scene. Again, I'm just going to spoil funny bits. I don't care. They get to the end and then they're trying to beat the game. I'm not going to spoil how they beat it, but they like several characters are dead at this point, and Ted's like, I can't remember what he says. I just started laughing. I'm like, Kieran should watch this episode. He'd love it. Ted's like, they can't beat the boss of the campaign or whatever. And Ted's like, I attack you to Brennan. He's like, you can't attack me. I'm the DM or whatever. He's like, well, I want to attack you. He's like, I'm basically God. And then Ted goes, okay, I attack God. And he rolls his dice and it's a nat 20. He's like, do 6 damage. And then Ted rolls again. He's like, another nat 20. It's like, oh shit, you do more damage. And he goes to roll it the third time. He gets a 1. He's like, is that good? And Brandon's like, not good at all. And it picks up like a shit ton of dice, rolls them all. It's like, you take 586 damage or something. It cuts to the scene of them in characters where Ted's dressed up as a bard. He just fucking explodes and fluff goes everywhere. I was having a good time. You should watch it. It was funny.
Yeah, I'll have to catch up. All right, that's everything in our watch this year. Let's move on to some film news. A couple of interesting stories this week. In one is it good news or just delaying the inevitable? A Disney exit OpenAI deal after AI giant shutters Sora. In a surprise move, OpenAI will shut down its Sora AI video app just months after it was first launched. We're saying goodbye to Sora, to everyone who created with Sora, shared it, and built community around it. Thank you, the company said in a statement. What you made with Sora mattered, and we know this news is disappointing. We'll share more soon, including timelines for the app and API and details of preserving the work. A source familiar with the matter tells Hollywood Reporter that Disney is also exiting the deal it signed with OpenAI last year, in which it pledged to invest $1 billion in the company and agreed to license some of its characters for use in Sora. OpenAI, led by CEO Sam Altman, is not getting out of the AI video business, of course, but it appears the standalone Sora app will be a casualty of its evolving ambitions. Sora launched last year, shocking and annoying Hollywood with its free use of established intellectual property and known actors. The company had to backtrack a few days after it launched, giving Hollywood studios and talent more control over their IP and licenses on the platform. But the closure of the app also raises questions for Disney, which inked a blockbuster deal to invest in OpenAI last December in exchange for adding some of its characters to Sora. The goal, of course, was to integrate the tech into Disney Plus itself. Now the OpenAI deal is dead, the company could ink a deal with another AI giant. Dylan, what are your thoughts on this happening? It was kind of out of the blue. Very weird.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's sort of my thoughts. Very weird. I think I opened Instagrams where I saw it, and like IGN or something, I think I posted, or someone like, that's where I first saw the news, and I was like, I don't get it. Didn't they just, I feel like I only just read about, we were talking about this, and now this. So I was just very confused. But I mean, my thing is, I just don't feel, I'm not taking it as a good news, because I don't feel like it doesn't stop the thought path or the trajectory.
We're not the trajectory. Yeah, the trajectory has not changed. It's like slowed down, but it's still heading that direction.
Yeah, it's still heading in that direction. So ultimately, I'm like, this is just a weird bump in it.
Mm-hmm.
But for people who I saw in the comments was celebrating and stuff, I'm like, the bigger picture, this has not changed the trajectory of this and what Disney wants to do at all. So it's just slowed down when the inevitability of it all. So inevitable.
Yeah, I think it's very odd, but also speaks to what we've probably all kind of realized, is that there's not any money to be made the money structure for Sora was not feasible. Like, what would, if you make something in Sora, like, you don't own the copyright to it, so anybody could just show it anywhere, and how are you meant to make money off that? And that kind of stuff. And if you start putting stuff, or your legal company start putting their stuff into this, it just opens a whole can of worms and that kind of stuff. But I mean, the reason they've shut it down is because they've decided to focus their attention to what will actually make them money. And then the door is always open for them to come back once they've, because obviously the number one issue with these AI companies is limited amount of resources and energy, and you can't do everything at the same time because it all requires a lot of infrastructure and power. So you need to, so it looks like them and the other major, what's the other major company I've keep reading about? Anthropic. OpenAI and Anthropic are both like focusing a little bit more, like having a more focused plan for what they want to do with AI that they think will be the most profitable. And then I guess once you make a ton of money, then you could expand your scope. But I'm sure there are multiple companies that are looking to fill the void that Sora will leave, but hopefully none will be quite as good or moving as quickly. And hopefully the fight against AI will like keep things at bay for at least a while. So I think it is good news in the short term, but in the long term, it's probably still heading down a bad road. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, rip to all those people who love Sora, I guess.
And that was the big one. That was the one that I actually knew the name of, you know. That was the name. That was probably the one that most people recognize the name of.
Yeah, but I feel like it was mostly because, wow, Disney's getting involved. It must have like some sort of credibility to them for them to invest $1 billion, which seems like a lot, you know. These companies is probably not a lot. So, all right, let's talk about something a little bit more fun. So last week was J.R.R. Tolkien's birthday. There was a special announcement made. Reading from Deadline, Stephen Colbert set to write Lord of the Rings movie about after The Hunt for Gollum, based on Fog on the Barrow Downs chapter. Stephen Colbert doesn't have to worry about his next gig after he signs off as host of CBS The Late Show on May 21st. The late night host will be embarking what is arguably his dream project, adapting the next Lord of the Rings movie from New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers. The tentatively titled The Lord of the Rings Shadow of the Past is set to be written by Colbert, Philippa Boyens, Peter McGee. The trio will join forces with the wizards behind the New Line franchise, Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh, and Boyens. Colbert on Monday revealed that the film will be based on Fogs on the Barrows Down, the 8th chapter of The Fellowship of the Ring, where hobbits are trapped by a barrow weight in an unnatural fog. The story also includes a fan-favorite character omitted from the previous films, Tom Bombadil. The movie will be derived from chapters 3 to 8 of Tolkien's landmark book. Of course, the next film in the series is Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum, directed by Gollum himself, Andy Serkis, and adapted by Walsh, Boyens, Artie Papagorgio, and Phoebe Giffens. The film is due to come out December 17th, 2020. The Lord of the Rings Shadow of the Past is set 14 years after the passing of Frodo. Sam, Merry, and Pippin set out to retrace the first steps of their adventure. Meanwhile, Sam's daughter, Eleanor, has discovered a long-buried secret and is determined to uncover why the Lord of the Rings was very nearly lost before it even happened. Dylan, what are your thoughts on this new Lord of the Rings film coming in the works?
Which one? Because I hadn't heard the Stephen Colbert one.
Yeah, the Stephen Colbert one. You hadn't heard of the Hunt for Gollum?
No, but that one's the one. Sorry, at some stage you said title, and I was like, I didn't realize they'd given a title to the Stephen Colbert.
That's the tentative title for the Stephen Colbert film.
Right. Okay. Now I'm also confused. Questions, because I haven't done much reason. Is that based on something?
Did you not listen to what I just said?
It was a lot of information.
It was a lot of information. Okay.
At some stage you're talking about between chapters 3 and 8. Okay. But that's the
So it's set. It's going to tell the story of chapters 3 to 8 of the Fellowship of the Ring, which was omitted from the film.
Yes, with Tom Bomb.
But it's also it's also apparently going to be bookended, or like that the framing device will involve Sam's daughter Eleanor,
right? Okay.
In the future,
that makes more sense. Okay,
or after the events of the film.
Okay. When you said it, I was like, "That's a third."
Believe me, I had to do my own research to understand what exactly was happening as well. So don't worry about that.
Okay, I'm getting it now. I'm still confused just by. Sure. Why do we need that? Not to be like. I'm sure it'll be good, and like I'm just like, why?
Apparently, the stuff with Eleanor is where is it? I'm reading from an article from the OneRing.net. Apparently, it's from a earlier draft of Return of the King. So the stuff with Eleanor was meant to be the original ending of Return of the King.
What?
That they're now reworking into this film as, I guess, a way to, one, fill it out, but two, like, kind of, fit into. Stephen Colbert said in the thing he wants to make it fit within the movies, but also fit within the books. So, that's his ultimate goal. Because if anybody who doesn't know, Stephen Colbert, super Lord of the Rings fan, like, knows the minute details of shit. So, yeah, okay. Now that you understand a little bit more.
What? Yeah, look, I'm excited for it because, like, the Stephen Colbert being announced as right and all that, it's all very exciting. More Lord of the Rings on the big screen is exciting. I still don't understand why this particular story is of interest, but I'm just open to going along.
Well, because it was omitted, I think is the number one.
That doesn't make it necessarily interesting to me. Because I'll say this, here's the thing. We have a Lord of the Rings podcasts. And I ain't here to pretend something I'm not. That podcast is from I love the movies and I'm really enjoying that Amazon series that a lot of people hate for whatever reason. That is my perspective. I have not read the fucking books, right?
Yeah.
So I ain't going to sit here and pretend to know something I don't, which is that character, Tom Bombadil, he's in the show, right? Didn't we just meet him in the last season?
Yes.
So I'm like, why do we need the movie? We just met him in the show.
Because the show
with Frodo
is not connected really with the films. I don't know. I mean, that's the interesting question. Like, is it a case of you bring back the original cast and then de-age them for the past stuff and then like have them? Because, I mean, technically it's set after Frodo leaves or passes away or whatever, however they want to describe it. So, Elijah Wood would only appear in.
So just to clarify also, because my understanding, Frodo doesn't die, right? He just he's invited and goes to the whatever the other land, right?
Or I'm just basing on some of that's my understanding based on the films, that he does not die.
No,
he never dies in the films.
Yeah.
Yes. But he could always die. He could have died in the books, assuming if we'd gone based on this kind of stuff. So
I should just finally add them to my Audible list. I don't know why I haven't done this.
Maybe, I don't know. Reading some of the stuff, it's like apparently Sam and Eleanor all go to Aragorn and that's wedding, which apparently takes several years later to actually come to fruition and that kind of stuff. So that whether that plays into the film or that kind of stuff.
Explain me, what's the hunt for Gollum?
Let me see if I can find some information about it. I think it's meant to be
it's also
a
prequel
to The Hobbit.
Is it? But who the fuck knows he has a ring then? I'm so confused.
The film is set during the time span of Fellowship of the Ring. Okay. It takes 17 years after Frodo Baggins' 111th birthday. And just before Frodo Baggins leaves the Shire for Rivendell, the wizard Gandalf fears that Gollum may reveal information about the One Ring to the Dark Lord Sauron and sends the ranger Aragorn on a quest to find him. And the story opens with a brief prologue. What is this from? Oh, that's a fan film. That's not. There is actually a fan film called The Hunt for Gollum. Okay. Hang on. Let's see if I can find something.
IMDb just says, fuck off ad. Aragorn's quest to capture Gollum between the Hobbit and Fellowship of the Ring, tracking him to keep the ring's location from Sauron. The film explores Aragorn's early adventures as a ranger.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it says The Hunt for Gollum is a pivotal Lord of the Rings story set between the Hobbit and Fellowship of the Ring, where Gandalf sells Aragorn to track Gollum. Fearing Gollum will tell Sauron about the One Ring. We know how that ends.
Is Viggo Mortensen back? Viggo Mortensen hasn't been announced to play in the cast. Who's playing Aragorn? IMDb just lists Elijah Wood, Kate Winslet, Andy Serkis, and Ian McKellen.
There's kind of no confirmed, not any information as far as I can tell. I think it's still in early development, so despite meant to come out
December
in
2027. Yeah. Yep, cool. I'm excited. Look, but end of story. I'm excited to see Lord of the Rings again on the big screen. There you go. That's how I feel.
Yes, that's exciting.
I'm not knowledgeable enough to get excited about characters being like, here's the story about Bibbidi Bob 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 coming back in chapters between 3 and 8. I'm like, I don't fucking know. I'm excited to watch the movie just because of Lord of the Rings.
I'm happy for super fans that they're getting something that I feel they didn't get.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. I'll also say, interestingly, I don't know if they can call the film Shadows of the Past. You know why?
Is there another film called Shadows of the Past?
The first episode of the Lord of the Rings TV series is called Shadows of the Past.
Oh, yeah. They won't care.
They won't care. Fuck Amazon.
Yeah, fuck Amazon.
But yeah, all right. That's all the news we've got this week. Let's move into giving some thumbs to trailers. Of course, you can find all the trailers we're about to talk about in the show notes below. Kicking things off, we've got Forgotten Island, directed by Joel Crawford and Januel Mercado, starring her, Lisa Sobrano, Dave Franco, Jenny Slate, Manny Jacinto, Dolly De Leon, Joe Coy, Ronnie Chang, and our boy Ronnie Chang, and Leah Salonga. In the 1990s Philippines, childhood friends Joe and Reza promise to remain close forever. As they graduate from high school, Reza prepares to move to the United States at the urging of her parents. Fearing the loss of their bond, however, the two are suddenly transported through a portal to the fantastical world of the forgotten island of Nakali, where memories gradually fade, the longer one remains. So I'm watching the trailer of Forgotten Island.
Yeah, double thumbs up. It looks very good. I love the animation style. I really like that the trailer just gave time at the start. That opening scene, just the two characters connecting and then jump through time and everything. It didn't rush to the big island reveal and stuff like that. And then once they get there and crazy stuff is happening, it all looks very fun. Obviously, the animation style has a little bit of that whatever we're going to call Sony animation element to it, especially towards the end of the trailer, the Spider-Man effect. And then I was looking in the comments after watching the trailer, some people may have been calling out that I saw comments like, "Oh, it's great to see Philippine mythology and stuff like that represented." So apparently, it must have some basis in folklore and stuff, which is cool. So yeah, double thumbs up.
Yeah, 2 thumbs from me. I think really well cut together trailer. Maybe a little bit too on the nose with the Simple Minds song. Don't you forget about me being used.
Don't you forget about me.
Yeah,
I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it.
It's so tied to Breakfast Club. Yes,
you didn't even remember, so
couldn't remember which meal it was. But yeah, I think really interesting, like really well paced. Interesting. The trailer reminded me of was damn. Now I can't remember the one with the 2 Asian girls. One of them's adopted, and they was like, "Do you want to be best friends?" And then they kick the nuts of the little kid.
Yeah, whatever the fuck that was called.
Yes, that
from a couple years
this
ago.
opening reminded me of that because it was like very similar vibes. So, but yeah, looks really good.
You know what? That weirdly the movie was actually reminding me of. You said that. Not another movie or TV show. It was reminding me of the game. I can't remember the name of it though. It came out like several years ago, Australian one, where it's like you're recollecting memories and stuff and using time rewind mechanics and stuff. Can't remember the name of it, but whatever that game was, if anyone understands what I'm saying about. But the trailer made me think of a video game, not another movie. So
interesting. All right, Forgotten Island is coming to Australian cinemas on the 17th of September. Great DreamWorks original film. Our next trailer is for Faces of Death, directed by Daniel Goldhaber, starring Barbie Ferreira, Darcy Montgomery, Josie Tota, Aaron Holiday, Jermaine Fowler, and Charlie XCX. A woman who moderates a YouTube-like platform responsible for filtering out any content that is offensive or violent comes across a group on the website that appears to be reenacting the murders from the original film. As misinformation spreads wildly online, she must determine whether the killings are real or staged. Then what do you think of the trailer for Faces of Death?
Yeah, double thumbs up. This looks fantastic. I love the framing for the film. So just doing another Faces of Death or trying to do something just fucked up or whatever. I like the framing because it's obviously very relevant into how social media.
Because technically it's not a remake of Faces of Death. It's just like, even though technically I guess the people inside the film are remaking Faces of Death. It's kind of weirdly meta.
Yeah, it is meta, and I appreciate that. But the online thing of I'll let them just do it and stuff like there's all these conversations about the moderation of Facebook and
not knowing what's real and what's not.
Yeah. So it feels quite relevant. Also, I think Darcy Montgomery looks absolutely fucking terrifying in this. So shout outs. And then Barbie Farah, very good, seeing her in a lead role. Very good in the Euphoria. And then obviously my girl Charlie XX gets the final line at the end of the trailer. So appreciate that. Double thumbs up. You will don't say shit. You're not watching a movie, but don't tell me this was a bad trailer.
No, it was a good trailer. I'll give it 2 thumbs up as a trailer. Interestingly, again, this reminded me of another trailer we've watched. I'm trying to find the name of the American Sweatshop, the one with Lily Reinhart that we watched.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's got the exact same setup, very similar. But yeah, I appreciate the way they've tackled doing this. Of we're remaking the killings within the film, and then like I guess people don't know if it's real or not, like online. So or is it just a trend for views and that kind of stuff? And like it seems to be tackling some interesting subject matter. So rather than just it's a straight up remake of the original film. So very interesting use of the intellectual property. So. Right. Faces of Death, releasing in the US on the 10th of April. Currently no Australian release date. Next trailer is for The Furious, directed by Kenji Tanigaki, starring Mo Tsai, Joe Taslim, Yang In-yu, Gigi Yanin, Brian Lay, Joey Iwanaga, and Yahan Rohin. When his daughter is snatched off the street, simple tradesman Kong-gu fights his way through a complex web of criminals in a frantic attempt to win her back by any means necessary. His only ally is tireless journalist Navin. The two men from utterly different backgrounds must learn to trust, collaborate, and draw on combat skills from their own hidden pasts.
I get to see Joe Taslim versus Yaya Ruhin have a rematch after the Raid 1, in which Yaya lost terribly. So double thumbs up. I'm very keen. I'm definitely up my alley. Half the Raid cast is in this. Let's go.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up. I think sometimes the accolade stuff can be a bit overbearing in things like this.
I mean, I'll say this before we continue, because I know what you're going to say. Like, they get to that section. I'm already sitting there going, they're fucking half the cast from Raid. I get to see a rematch between those motherfuckers. And then you get to the Adelaide Page that comes up. It's like that one where it's like the best film since the Raid. I was already thinking about the Raid. So then when it says that, I'm like, you've sold me now. Because I was already there.
Yeah, some movies like rely on the accolade stuff to like sell the story, but I think this is a case of show don't tell. But I mean, it goes to show this movie, I guess, has been out technically for a while. But yeah, looks fantastic, great cast, like a lot of people that you would recognize from martial arts films and that kind of thing. That not that I get a chance to watch a lot of them, but yeah, looks really fantastic and of a standard that I don't recall seeing in recent action movies. So yeah, very keen to see The Furious. It's already released in Hong Kong. It came out last year, I believe. It's releasing in the US on the 29th of May. No Australian release date.
How have you not? But I cannot move on saying 2 things before we move on. My favorite thing, it's just Taken, but more. it's just a martial arts, intense martial arts version of Taken. And also, I'll say just for my there's a lot of shit that happened in the trailer, but that one sequence where they're in the UFC fight ring and he's jumping all those dudes, I was like, this is
with him and the hammer.
This is amazing.
Just wailing away on people.
That was the scene. Like when that started happening, I'm like, oh, moly.
All right, next trailer, Apex, directed by Balthazar Kormaker, starring Charlize Theron, Taron Egerton, and Eric Bana. When an adrenaline junkie sets out to conquer a menacing river, she discovers that nature isn't the only thing out for blood. Dylan, what did you think of the trailer for Apex, shot in the Blue Mountains of Australia?
Just to clarify, Eric Bana's not in this trailer, right?
Not that I could see, but yeah, he is listed on the Wikipedia page.
I'll say this. Taron Egerton, after Fire show, which I can't remember, Smoke, this is just that character turned up with the anti-turned up, is how I took this. And I'm very much enjoying it. Him doing whatever this current acting thing he's going on. I'm very much enjoying it.
I'm going to give it trajectory from his performance as Elton John.
Yeah, but I'm enjoying it. I'm going to give it 1 up, 1 down for 2 reasons. Number 1, that it gave away too much, and the trailer just sort of like it started slow and then sped up and just started going too far. And then number 2 is, and the main reason I'm giving it 1 up, 1 down, is because at some point there, Taron Egerton's character comes in as this super awkward Australian, goes, "Oh, they run out of gas." I was like, "Fucking fuel, cunt!" Like, what are we fucking gas at the? I was like, "We don't say gas. Like, just
make him turn the American."
No, it's just that whole shitty writing. It's just like, or it's either shitty writing or it's purposely done because they're like, oh, it's still mainly playing to American audiences, and Americans are too dumb to understand that fuel could be gas, so we got to say gas. But it just annoyed me because you see that first scene with him, and then he comes into the scene with Charlize in the forest later. Well, I can't remember the exact line, but it says something gas. I was like, gas? Nah, mate.
Okay, I don't remember that line at all. So, yeah, I'll give one down. It looks intriguing, mostly for Taron Egerton's like over the top and incredibly crazy performance. Like, yeah, I don't know that I've recall seeing him in like doing a performance like this. I guess I didn't watch Smoke. Much of Smoke.
Well, it's obviously not to this level, but he's
villainous and like
the villainous of it. Yeah,
this seems like his go do whatever you want kind of role, like be as crazy as you want.
I did see someone. I saw someone in the comments say, was it something like when you can't hire James McAvoy or something? And I was like, that is very funny.
Yeah, like it was definitely giving McAvoy either Split or the remake thing that he did recently. Those vibes.
Yeah.
But yeah, Charlie's looks pretty good. It looks pretty. I don't know how they sustain this premise for 130, 180 minutes, but they're going to try. I don't know that they gave away too much. I think they did, like, they gave away the premise. And, like, what do you think that they did that gave too much away?
Oh, just at the end where they're tied up and in the water and...
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
But
I don't know how they would end up that way unless it turns out there's a third person. Maybe that's where Eric Bana comes in. He is the third, but he is chasing Taron Egerton. And now they've got to work together to stop Eric Bana from killing them both.
That'd be wild.
You're welcome. There's still time to rewrite them. All right. Apex is coming to Netflix on the 24th of April, so maybe there isn't time to rewrite. Last trailer for this week is Moana. Directed by Thomas Cale. Starring Kathleen Ligaya, Dwayne Johnson, John Tu, Frankie Adams, and Rena Owen. Prompted by a summons from the ocean, Moana departs her home island of Motunui for the first time and travels past this barrier reef. Accompanied by the demigod Maui, she undertakes a voyage aimed at recovering the well-being of her community. Now, Dylan, if I remember correctly, you've never watched the original Moana movie. You have watched it.
Yes, I have.
I hadn't watched it for a long time.
I hadn't watched it for a long time, but I did watch it a couple of years ago.
Okay. So what do you think of this live-action remake of Moana? 3
thumbs down. It looks atrocious. I do not have a positive thing I could pull out of my ass for this one. So I'm not even trying. Yahoo!
Okay. I'm also going to go 2/3.
No, I'm going 3, just to clarify, which is the first time I think I've used 3 thumbs down. I've given 3 thumbs up a couple times.
Many a times.
I don't think I've ever given the 3 thumbs down, but this is the
actively hate this trailer.
Yes.
This is the first time that I've watched one of these live action things, and there's been that uncanny valley feeling of like, this is like too weird. Seeing them attempt to bring the things to live action. I think watching this, Dwayne Johnson may have been a miscast in reprising his role as Maui.
Even then, like, there's just those scenes where they're just obviously filming against green screen and everything. I'm like, this looks so bad.
The wig,
yeah.
Maybe if he'd had more movies where he'd had hair before, it wouldn't be so jarring.
Have you worn wig? Will you wear wig?
The answer is yes, apparently. But yeah, also I feel like this is a role that could have been for a bigger guy, like a chunkier guy, rather than buff, awesome,
Well, he's not buff in the actual movie.
He's well built, But he's not like WrestleMania weight. He's not WrestleMania cut, but he's definitely not Maui.
No, that's what I'm
shaped.
saying. In the animated film, the original film.
That's what I'm saying. You could have found somebody more like the animated Maui's, body shape wise.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Chicken
everything around her is so...
I thought of a positive. The chicken looked good.
The chicken looks like the exact chicken from the animated chicken, which is
because of
adding
that,
to the jarringness.
No, I didn't mind the chicken. There's my positive. There you go. One positive.
You know?
I didn't like at some point towards the end of the trailer where they showed the creature, the octopus thing or whatever that sings that really cool song. That looked terrible. I don't remember. Octopus or crab? Crab. There we go. That sings that cool song.
Yeah.
That looked terrible. Yeah.
I can't say anything about the girl who's playing Moana because everything else just kind of takes away the focus.
Yeah, I don't think any of it's, but everything else is terrible.
Yeah, this is very odd, but also will likely make all the money this year.
I don't know. This one has the potential to turn kids away from.
Do you feel like this will do better or worse than Lilo and Stitch?
Better because it's more recent and more like they rushed this out basically.
So you think it'll do better?
Kids who were like 6 who watched Moana are now 10.
I think
I don't know if my maths is right. What year did Moana come out? Time's a blur when you get old. You know what I mean?
Moana came out 2016, so it's 10 years.
Okay, so there's kids that are 5, they're now 15.
But you're also not wrong. There are probably kids who did watch it when they're 6 and now 10. You know?
Yeah.
It's totally possible. But
whereas
it's not like the majority.
Lilo and Stitch was more likely...
nostalgic.
It was more
nostalgia
our age,
based.
obviously.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see at the very least. Moana coming to Australian cinemas on the 8th of July.
Yahoo! Also, he says it 4 times in the trailer and it really annoyed me.
Why wouldn't you just pull the way you said it from the animated film? All right, let's move into this week's top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
And in honor of the drama, coming to Australian cinemas this week.
Have you seen the drama about the drama, by the way?
I've seen someone be upset about it from a historic event, that makes me go, oh, it must be slightly related to that.
Yeah, but I don't have the full, I don't pull it off the top of my head, but it was basically...
Okay, so for people who don't want to know, jump ahead like 10 seconds, but the article I saw was Columbine shooting victim upset about the drama.
Something like that.
So I assume it's related to that.
No. So the thing I saw the drama about the drama was that the director had written an essay or something like 10 years ago, basically supporting like dating, like underage, like 16-year-olds and dating.
Okay, those are completely different.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Dramas we're talking about.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the drama inside the drama.
No, I got no idea about any.
You've got the drama. You're talking about the drama around the drama.
I'm talking about the real life drama happening about the drama.
This week's top 3 wedding films, because the drama is a wedding movie.
Is it?
Yeah, they're getting ready for a wedding. They get married. Dylan, what's number 3?
My number 3 is The Wedding Singer.
My number 2 is The Wedding Singer.
There we go.
Okay.
Classic Adam Sandler film from his prime run, I guess. Also his pairing up with Drew Barrymore for a couple of films here, obviously. Literally, Adam Sandler plays a wedding singer, as per the title, who's singing at he's doing these events, and Drew Barrymore's character's, I mean, she's working there. She's
the waitress at the wedding.
Waitress, yeah. And then, yeah, they sort of fall in love across the movie, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of fun. Really different role for Adam Sandler, but sort of one of his, especially when you pair it around everything else that happened during his career at that same time, but it always stood out as, I always just remember thinking when all those, the late 90s, early 2000s of Adam Sandler movies, I was like, it always used to be like, how the fuck did we get to Little Nicky and The Wedding Singer? They were the two that I was like, these were so different to everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my number 2. I think it is a fantastic movie. Very memorable, very, somebody kill me, please. And they did, the ending song, that as well. That is really fantastic. There's a reason it's been adapted to a Broadway musical and that kind of stuff. So, it's a really great story with great music, pulling from the, obviously the 80s vibe that the film has. is really fun. It's just very wholesome and like the first of two really great pairings between Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore that, who have great chemistry and are really enjoyable to watch fall in love on screen together. So that's my number 2. My number 3 is Palm Springs. The time loop movie starring Andy Samberg and Kristen Milotti that takes place at a wedding. It's probably my favorite of the films on my list, but I'm putting it number 3 because it's not as good a wedding movie because it's not really focused on being a wedding movie. But yeah, it's fun to see the ways that they tackle that wedding in different ways to keep themselves entertained, including calling it a bomb threat or like pretending there's a bomb inside the cake and offering to have sex with the bride and groom, for kicks.
Yes, a film that made at least a couple of our best of whatever year it came out lists.
Whatever, I think it was 2020.
2020.
It was a
we've
movie.
been doing Explosion Network long enough now that years later we can now reference back and say, yes, when that movie came out, we awarded its things, yes.
Yeah. All right, so that was my number 3. Wedding Singer was my number 2. Dylan, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Wedding Crashers, the Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn movie in which they go around and crash weddings and just go into them to drink booze and hook up with chicks, basically, is the premise. But then they end up pulled along to this whole big family event or collective, part of a wedding, in which you've got Rachel McAdams and Isla Fisher as the other two. Christopher Walken's the dad, someone else is the mum, I can't remember who, sorry. Bradley Cooper's in this as well as the brother, and he's quite odd little character in this movie. I watched this a bunch when I was in high school though, because it came out in like mid 2000s, 2005, 6, something like that. Yeah, very funny. Just one of those prominent sort of films that I'd watch quite a lot back then when I had the DVD, and it's still very funny. I watched it a couple years ago. I think there was a couple jokes that were like a little bit on the edge, but didn't quite age great. But it was still a lot of fun.
All right. All right. My number 1 is Plus One, the film starring Jack Quaid and Maya Erskine, in which they play best friends who, longtime friends who agree to accompany each other to the various weddings that they need to attend over the next year, and inevitably fall in love, but also relationships are messy, and weddings are moments where love is heightened and that kind of stuff. So they don't fall in love immediately. There's a bit of wing womaning, trying to get him laid and that kind of stuff, which is all fun. And then it becomes a fantastic relationship drama. So, but also filled with fun and laughs and goofy moments. One of my favorite recent rom-coms. So check out Plus One, which is my number 1. Dylan, what's your number 1?
My number 1 has a little bit of recency bias, I believe, which is Bridesmaids, because it was referenced at the Oscars. But the whole time I was just thinking, no, it did come out recently.
Bridesmaids, that movie that came out 14 years ago, 15 years ago, sorry.
I just popped to my mind straight away because of the Oscars, where I was like, man, what a funny movie. That movie's so good. And then when I was thinking this list, it just came to my mind straight away. And I was like, is that because of the Oscars, or would I have thought of it anyway? Nonetheless, here we are. But yeah, obviously it made, for a lot of people in this was the like, I understand a lot of them have been SNL and stuff, but especially like international, I'm calling Australia international. This was the first time I think I ever saw like Christian Wiig, first time I'd ever seen Maya Rudolph, or at least prominently a lot of these people that were in this movie. Like, breakout role for Rebel Wilson in American audiences. Like, she reverse effect there because I knew her from Fat Pizza and stuff, but breakout for her in American audiences and stuff there. Rose Byrne, not her breakout American role, like technically, but also kinda.
I mean, it kind of set her on the path of like, being in comedic stuff. Where before that, she was probably thought as like a serious actress.
Yeah. And then also, obviously, fuck, I meant to blanking on her name. Fuck.
Ellie Kemper, Maya Rudolph, Kristen Wiig. Melissa
McCarthy, thank you. Goodness me. Melissa McCarthy, obviously. This movie was a huge breakout role for her. Whether or not she wanted to be remembered for taking a shit in the middle of the road, that was what she was remembered of for years after this. Chris O'Dowd's in this as well. It's
during
fantastic.
IT? No, it'd be well
No,
past IT.
it's a few years after. But I think this was the first thing I watched him in post IT Crowd, like American. And now he's been in a lot more, obviously. So, Ellie Kemper's in it, I think. There's a lot, like if you go back.
Well, she was on the Oscar stage, so I have to assume she's in the movie.
Good point. Yeah, sorry. Just a really fantastic movie. Probably Paul Feig's best. I mean, I know obviously these days doing a lot of stuff, but this is very funny. All about a wedding. I mean, you can't. And other movies have tried to do since then the girls quote unquote perspective of a wedding movie because there's
we're searching for this. It was like a few different rip-off like one movies that came out that like it was that Bachelor movie with Scarlett Johansson.
Which I
feel like was just their attempt to recreate it.
But Bridesmaids was the first raunchy bridal comedy that was female cast for sure. And obviously there'd been a lot of male ones, of course, including my second pick, Wedding Crashers. But this is funnier than that movie and generally holds up a lot better. So
when does it be interesting to think The Hangover came out 2 years before, which I feel like, this may have been like a interesting counterbalance too. So
yeah, they were trying to do like the R-rated comedy was back into the limelight at the time. Yeah.
All right, Dylan, this week what do you want to watch?
I was just trying to have a quick look because obviously it's the Super Mario Galaxy movie is what's hitting cinemas that I care about. But I was just seeing if there was anything streaming or that I care about, but I don't think there is really. No, I don't think so. I'm just going to pick the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
Okay. I mean, the things that we been mentioned, Super Mario Galaxy movie, the drama. But I'm also keen to check out the pizza movie with Get Manzaro. I don't know if you saw, but they tried to recreate. They did like a remake of the Money Supreme on top of the dome, Las Vegas dome, but they don't have the budget, so they're standing on a table with like the background, the parks in front of like on the top of the hill in front of a town. So it slowly goes out on the hill and they're standing on the table saying similar lines to Timothée Chalamet on top of the dome. So that was a fun bit.
Fuck ballet. Is that what
they actually say? We're really big on the ballet and opera. That's fun. On the TV front, I know it's technically not this calendar week, but next Monday, Darth Maul, Shadow Lord, comes to Disney Plus. A show that we will be covering over on our Star Wars podcast, Holocron Entries. Isn't that right, Dylan?
It is correct. I would have picked it, but I know if you guys, but I'm very strict about my rules for one movie, has to be in the week, one streaming thing. I don't.
So your problem is you think calendar week instead of week between when the episode comes out and when the next episode comes out.
It's a fair point. I do think calendar week, yes.
Yep. So we'll be talking about that every week for however many weeks that show is coming out.
A few.
It's up till the 4th of April, right? No, 4th of May.
Yeah. Until I think the last episode airs on May the 4th, I believe is how that's working. But it's like 13 episodes or something. 2 episodes a week, I think is how it's set up. Scheduling is, I believe, yeah.
So yeah. A quick question. Are there any episodes of Clone Wars and stuff that people should watch in preparation for this, do you think?
I don't know the episode titles off the top of my head, but I would just watch the Siege of Mandalore stuff. Like if you finished up, I would just watch the last couple episodes of the last series they did, the Disney Plus one that we talked about, because that's when Ahsoka comes in and fights him and kicks and takes back over Mandalore, and he gets his ass kicked.
All right.
I think at least that's a little bit of a prologue into the here and now. There'll be so much more you'd have to watch to get a better idea of relationship with his brother and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, if you watch, I think if you haven't watched any Clone Wars stuff, just watch that last Disney Plus Clone Wars, the last 4 episodes at least. Yeah.
10 episodes it is.
There you go.
5 weeks. All right, let us know what you were excited to watch this week by finding us on social media by going to explosionhour.com/follow. If you want to help us out here at what do you want to watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars and leave 5 stars. Just tell people about the show. And if you want to help us over at Explosion Network with all our other podcasts like the aforementioned Holocron entries, or the aforementioned All New Marvel Cast, or Animated Wonders, our new podcast about animated stuff, which is where you'll hear our spoiler cast for the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
You got there.
Head on over to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess. I knew what I wanted to say. It just wouldn't come out.
There's only so many cross-referential podcasts you can list in a row about losing your mind.
Listen, I was bringing them all up because then I can justify putting them in the show notes.